Welcome to What and Series 16 and number 30, and we'll be talking again from Genesis chapter 43. And in this part, verses 11 through to 14, Jacob sends them off with the money and gifts for the Egyptian leader. Let me read that to you from verse 11. And their father Israel said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the best fruits of the land in your vessels and carry down a present for the man, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, pistachio nuts and almonds. Take double the money in your hand and take back in your hand the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take your brother also. Arise, go back to the man. And may the God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may release your other brother and Benjamin. If I am bereaved, I am bereaved." It's interesting, isn't it? An amazing passage that all of a sudden Jacob, or Israel, whichever name you want to give him at the time, has changed his tune and said, if I'm going to be upset about it, that's on me. It says, take some of the best fruits of the land in your vessels and carry down a present for the man. Once before, Jacob gave a generous gift to a potential enemy, and it worked out well. Remember, that was Esau, his own brother, in Genesis 33. He hoped these gifts would buy the favor of this mysterious Egyptian official. Notice he says too there, take double the money in your hand. They took double the money with them to Egypt to buy grain, and the Egyptians' leaders' favor. Since 10 brothers went to Egypt, they took double the money. There would have been 20 units of money. And this is, some people say, is it flows forward to the 20 pieces of silver that they sold Joseph for in Genesis 37. The words of silver and money are the same. So there's some real connection in the way things that are being worked out here. And may God Almighty give you mercy before the man. It was good for Jacob to say and to believe this, but it seems to have been too much fatalism and too little faith. If I am bereaved, I am bereaved. Faith and fatalism, well, they're not actually the same things, are they? And we've got to recognize that sometimes we put our faith in things and then we're still negative about it. We need to put our faith where it needs to be. It goes on in verses 15 to 18. And Joseph, when they get down there, Joseph invites his brothers to a dinner. Verse 15 through to 18. So the men took that present and Benjamin, and they took double the money in their hand and arose and went down to Egypt. And they stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Take these men to my home, slaughter an animal, make it ready. For these men will dine with me at noon." Then the man did as Joseph ordered, and the men brought the men into Joseph's house. Now, this is a real turnaround. Now, the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house. Yep, absolutely. And they said, "It is because of the money which was returned in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that he may make a case against us and fall upon us to take us as slaves with our donkeys." I find that line at the end there, "with our donkeys," quite interesting. They stood before Joseph, accounting for Joseph's time as a slave in Potiphar, his time in prison and 7 years of plenty, and now a few years of famine. It had probably been 20 years since all 12 brothers had been together. Joseph understood this. The brothers didn't. They didn't know that he was the brother that they had sold into slavery. But notice what Joseph does. It's a very different thing. Take these men to my home. Now that was a huge honour. Maybe the brothers didn't get how big an honour it was, but he says, and slaughter an animal and make it ready for these men will dine with me. This is an unusual and interesting kindness. The brothers must have wondered why the powerful Egyptian official took such an interest in them and why he wanted to share a meal with them. Now, it's a difficult thing when someone does something good for you when you accept something bad from them. So they're really, really not sure of themselves. Joseph here again points out towards the Messiah Jesus, who wants to be with his people, eat with them, meaning that Jesus wants a close relationship to his people. Yeah. And we want that close relationship too. And sometimes we are confused why God blesses us, aren't we? Absolutely. Absolutely. I want you this week to think about the blessings that you have and how you respond to receiving those blessings. Have a great day.